Here I find you. I think I can love you.
Welcome to the How Strong podcast. Today, we are lucky. We want to introduce the world, for those of you who don't know, of this amazing group, Mojave Grey. We have Zander and we have Pozzi with us. So thank you for coming. Troy, why don't you go on ahead and let everybody know how you went about discovering Mojave Grey, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I think I want to start off with, because we just talked to Pozzi for a few seconds before Zander got on, and I was doing a ton of research again on you guys over the last 2 days. We've had a ton of podcasts, and this one's been on my calendar for a long time, and Lisa understands this. And I went back again and got more upset with the notion that you guys. Why on earth are you guys not on everybody's lips? I don't understand.
Troy, we're about to be. We're about to be.
I know, but I went back to something that I saw on YouTube from you from 2013, and the vocals, bro. I'm like, why didn't they know about you in 2013? And then I just keep, and this is like a no bullshit podcast. I'm not paying you. You're not paying me. This is really just trying to amplify good people that I found. I was starting DeLorean at the time, and this was the podcast we had a few hours ago. I normally don't read social media. And when we were launching DeLorean, it was a real complicated launch, real complicated marketing and branding plan. And there were a lot of haters out there when we launched what we launched. And I was reading through all the social media, just listening to everybody tell me how bad I was at my job and why I shouldn't be working. And that's fine. But I saw a comment from Zander, and I'm like, oh, there's a positive comment here. And it was Zander. And then I started listening to kind of the stuff that Zander was doing. And I reached out to him, and we had a conversation about getting Zander in on Pebble Beach. And I was responsible for that whole program. I was like, could you come out and sing? And myself and Stephanie Curl, who's my right hand at DeLorean, wanted Zander to come out and sing. The vendor chose somebody else, and they're like, well, this is who we're choosing, because they had them in their back pocket. And I was like, I'll continue with Zander. There'll be something else that we can do with him later. And that's how I got exposed to him initially, which was just by happenstance. I was reading through these thousands of comments about how terrible of a marketer I was. And then I saw his, and I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to him. And he ended up being a fantastic guy, and listened to his music. And I started to get, I've known a lot of people in the startup space, a lot of people who are their own brands, and they're coming out with products. And Zander is exactly him, and Pozzi. It's upsetting to me. It begins to be upsetting when you see people whose product is really, really good and exceptional. And I've been doing what I do for a very long time. And when I saw their product, I was like, I have no idea why these guys are even talking to me. I mean, these guys should be on everyone's top 10 list of songs. And I started to get some sort of similarities. The guys that I work with, athletes and artists and some other people in the startup space, they all have exceptional products. And you're like, why aren't they the number one brand in the country? And then I look at you guys, and the same thing happened to me. And I talked to Lisa, and she's been in the entertainment business for a long time. She started with Puff Daddy at Bad Boy Entertainment. And I said, hey, is it possible, and this is naive and I know the answer to it, I just wanted her to reaffirm this for me, is it possible that you could be a terrible singer and still be successful? And is singing really well and writing good music enough? And ultimately, Lisa, it's not. And I mean that by, I've seen people be successful with music that I don't feel is very good. When I listen to your stuff, I'm like, this is crazy good. How do we get this? And why isn't it on everyone's mind that Mojave Grey exists? And I know you guys are working on some things, but I did want to get into how you guys found each other. I can tell you so far some of the questions that we get, and I always ask the same thing because it always happens this way. You have really good brands. I don't know the story on how you and Pozzi got together. I'm hoping it was by happenstance, like the the origin video that I watched. I don't believe you worked in a bar, and I don't believe Pozzi had nothing to do all day. I do want to have a comment about that video because Pozzi was in the video, and he had this machine. I won't say what
Oh,
this
God.
machine does, but
I knew it was going to come up.
no, well, it wasn't even the machine. It was that you had this guilty look, and you were looking at your cat, like the cat knew what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And, it was phenomenal. But that's where I got the sense of humor from you guys, and you guys are very, very good at storytelling with these videos and the music, and you can definitely start getting an idea of who's Pozzi is and who Zander is, and so I'd love to find out the story on how you guys met.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, thank you so much for the kind words. I mean, we feel the same. But I do think this conversation 3 months from now could look extremely different, which we're just kind of actually sitting really at a pretty interesting crossroads in a lot of good ways with everything we've worked so hard for so long. So it's a really exciting time. Pozzi and I met each other like 5 years ago. I was doing a separate project, and I booked a show in Dubai, of all places. It was really crazy. And my guitarist at the time was from Switzerland, and there was a visa issue. And I actually we were kind of butting heads a little bit. And I needed somebody last minute. And Pozzi and I think we had met. There were some mutual people just from the Los Angeles scene. And we officially met on a 17-hour flight to Dubai, which ended up being like that's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a movie.
Just the flight.
Yeah.
But it actually ended up being this absurd almost 2 or 3 weeks that we spent it. It's really hard to explain this trip because it was so bizarre. But we ended up vibing like crazy, and just musically and just personally, we just really, I mean, having been in so many bands, it really is like a marriage, and you really, like, so much of it is just, your ability to hang, your ability to laugh, your ability to like go through difficult things. So we really kind of had that, but it wasn't really until COVID that we launched this new project, Mojave Grey, and it really kind of came pretty organically. I think we were both at a place in our careers where we're like, okay, if we're going to try to do this again, like, we got to come at it from a different angle. And that really made all the difference. And it's been an evolution that's just continuing to like gain momentum. And just 2 days ago, we just booked Electric Zoo, which is one of the biggest electronic festivals in the United States. So like, those things are starting to come in, and people are starting to really recognize, what we bring to the table, and just the uniqueness of what we're doing. And, as far as the storytelling, having been in this business for a long time and having survived in this business, you really have no choice but to be humble, and because the business just like kicks the shit out of you. So I think, that the storytelling kind of shows a different side of us, which I think is also really important in today's artists, because, your audience wants to see different sides. And if you're an amazing singer or a phenomenal guitarist, it's just really not enough anymore. And, a lot of people have this vision of like, all right, you're the best singer around, why are you not? But there are so many amazing singers now. I mean, that's really being exposed through social media and like all these. But to be able to tell a story, to be able to tell something and make someone feel something, that's really the business that we're in. So it's like we're trying to create experiences and emotion through our music and our performance, and like a whole visual story. That's kind of where we're at now. But yeah, this last year has been like life changing for both of us. I mean, it's really been I mean, it's almost hard to believe. Again, doing this for so long. I mean, I've done crazy things. Pozzi's done crazy things, but it's almost unbelievable. You know, the last 6 months or the first start of this year has just been like we just got shot out of a cannon, and it just kind of keeps accelerating in a great way. I mean, it's just, and we've got level heads, and we're just kind of taking it as it comes. But yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, so I noticed, and I know we're going to talk about your music, your new music, and I'm compelled to keep talking about the origin video because that was my first glimpse into the kind of storytelling you're doing, and I rewatched it and I rewatch it, and I'm like, why didn't this, this should be on Billboard, and the imagery, and there's, I didn't notice this, but the storytelling is obviously a lot of the stuff that's happening in the background. I loved watching Pozzi. I kind of got the idea of who Pozzi is just from the video. He may be nothing like that, but you working behind the bar, and you gave him that drink for free. He's coming in. He's expecting someone. He that person doesn't show up, and then you guys. And I didn't talk about this before, but there's a moment in the video where you guys start hearing music, and you're wondering, I'm hearing this, and I don't know where it's coming from. And you ask Pozzi, and Pozzi's like, I hear it. And he wasn't even paying attention. He wasn't even in that dialogue. You were like, do I hear this music? And then Pozzi just looks straight ahead and goes, I hear the same thing. And then you guys go out in the alley, and there's that box. And I told, it's really interesting that you can create that type of narrative and you care enough about telling the story through film that when you guys went into that box and you're kind of deciding, well, who's going to go first, and then Pozzi's like, I'm not going first, and then Zander goes through, and then you guys come to this other side. And we always talked about that being called like the in-between, like there was something happening in between that life and then this life. And it's kind of like when you're saying you got shot out of a cannon. And what was nice is that when you both came through that other side, everybody was waiting for you. It was almost kind of like when you die, and everybody's waiting there for you on the other side. And it seemed like that was kind of a moment where you guys have passed through this difficult thing. And now everybody on the other side is waiting for you. And it was really well done. And I was almost thinking that these origin sort of mini document, that was not a documentary, it's a mini film, but these are things that should be released very significantly. And everybody should be anticipating that next origin story because they're really filmed very well. But
well, we are picking up the story in 2 days' time, so we have our biggest shoot yet planned on Wednesday. So we're picking up with Thomas and Michael 6 months later, and it's pretty exciting. So you'll definitely have some continuation.
Well, good. That was I can't wait for that next one. But
yeah, I mean, thank you so much again. I mean, you're that makes us feel great because I mean, you're hitting all the points we were trying to make. I mean, it's so hard when you don't have an established platform, and also we're living in this world where everybody has ADD, so you have to like hit them over the face in like the first 3 seconds, and if they don't watch the first 3 seconds, they're not going to watch 6 minutes or whatever it is. So it's very tricky to get anything substantial across until you carry enough weight with your brand that you earn that attention, that people will sit down and be like, wait, hold on, there's a bigger story here. So actually the way that we're attacking telling those stories now is a little bit different, where instead of having it be a mishmash of music and storytelling, we're doing storytelling, music, and I think that'll be a little bit more digestible. But we're hoping it becomes like a cult classic, because when people do figure it out, they're like, whoa, I don't know any other musicians that are doing something this elaborate. So that's what we hope.
Yeah, so I was going through some of my contacts. I know a few people at some other labels, and I've sent over that origin story just recently and said, here's where it starts, the music, but I want you to watch the first part. If you can't watch it, at least get to the point where he starts singing. And I can tell you the response that I get, and I'm going to talk to you about this a little bit later, about some of the labels that I've spoken to. Some of those people are high up in the music industry, and I don't know, Lisa. You probably know better than anybody. I don't know what you can't submit music anymore. You have to know someone who knows someone or knows someone who can get you in the door. But these people I've known for a while, and the feedback is, do they have management? And I'm like, do you even like their music? He's like, it's fantastic. And it's sort of like this. Like I think you have some plans, and I don't know what those plans are, but I hope that you guys get to a point where you guys get the much deserved respect for what you guys do.
Yeah.
It's just it's insanely good. But
We predict by spring 2025 that we will be headlining, or at least one of the headliners of Coachella.
well,
So
I,
we have
I'm
18.
gonna.
So we have 18 months, and I hope people come back to this video and this podcast for that exact moment. But that's like a bold but very serious and attainable goal of ours.
So here's the plan that I have for you. It's just going to go off the rails because that's just what happens here. So what I'd like to do is you'll have 4 origin stories, right?
Like
Mhm.
already, or what are you saying? How many we're doing?
Well, you have
or how many
3.
After,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have
You'll
at least 4. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I'd love to do is, and I'll do this with Lisa, and I have some very good contacts. So the way I like to do my stuff is I don't know the heads of labels. I know all the working class people underneath, very successful, but they're the people that actually help me get stuff done. And I'd done a Super Bowl commercial a year ago, and I would love for you guys to come on during a Super Bowl and have an origin story throughout that Super Bowl commercial and introduce your new music. That's the easy stuff. Like when you say 18 months, I mean, that's in my world, that's too long.
No, of course. But that's also the pinnacle of like the entire world of music. So I mean, that we're using that. I mean, I think by the new year, we will be in a place where we're performing in front of thousands almost every weekend. So
But I think you're talented enough that you're at your pinnacle.
Yeah. Well, look,
Like
I mean, yeah, we're not doubting anything that we're ready to do. It's just, it's crazy now, Troy. Like even the record labels and the people in decision, like no one even knows how to do this anymore, and it's all very data driven. And you could have the best song, the best singer, the best musicians ever, and it just doesn't matter unless you have the data. And that's what all these algorithms and data. That's what's deciding what comes. And I think we're kind of at the end of that, where people are now going back to looking for uniqueness, looking for originality, looking for what like kind of feeds their soul. So I think I mean, I have no doubt. I mean, even every time we play, we just played like 4 shows in the last week, from New York to Telluride, back to LA, and just the reaction is so different than anything we've ever done or seen. So like we know we're doing it right, and I think it's going to hit that tipping point very, very soon.
What city has turned up for you the most since you've been?
Aspen, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, why was Aspen so excited? What did they do different?
I mean,
Oh,
Pozzi, if you want
man.
to elaborate, I mean, Aspen's been our golden goose, but it's really just been an incredible nucleus. It's really a cultural epicenter. I mean, the people that are there, it's such a wealthy area, but you're getting really interesting thought leaders and business leaders from all over that are hanging and partying there. So we've been fortunate enough to really stick our flag in the sand there, and we've just met incredible people, and people have responded so much. But yeah, that's been the game changer city for us.
We've also just played the shit out of that town. So, can I swear on the podcast?
Of
by the
course
way?
you can.
Okay.
Of course you can.
We've played the shit out of that town. So we've organically built up a fan base there.
Now it's time to
you know,
perform at Red Rocks.
Oh my God, that's a dream. That's a bucket list for me for sure. We both love that old U2 Red Rocks performance. And so that's all, like since I was a kid, that's been sort of a lifelong goal of mine.
So it's good to know these. I'm writing these things down because as you say these things, I'm going to see if I know you're probably working with someone. I've been very lucky that I've put things out in the universe and say I'm going to get this thing done, and I'm going to get it done, and if you're a good enough person, those things actually end up happening. So um, I'm going to put this down to see if we can get you there too. That's the nice thing about having a connection with really good people who just want to see good things happen for people. That's what we're doing here. There's no other ulterior motive other than to say I saw you guys, and my specialty is that marketing, is that brand, is that experiential, and if I can help in just the tiniest way, that's what I'm here for. The fact that you guys are really good singers, I always say this: if you guys were terrible and I really liked you, we'd have to do something different. But you guys actually have a good product, so it's actually pretty easy. But so much like everybody else on this podcast, a lot of the people on the podcast have grinded it out, and they've gone to a place pretty dark, and they've had to climb out, and they've been much better for climbing out. Do you guys have? I mean, have you guys have gone through that space where you question what's happening, and then you got to kind of figure out a way out? I kind of feel like that's what the box was.
Oh.
I wasn't 100% sure.
Every single day, Troy.
Every day.
No, but I mean, yeah, it comes with the business. I mean, anybody that's lasted for many years in any kind of entertainment, or any high achieving entrepreneur or athlete, or I mean, yeah, it just comes with the territory. But yeah, I mean, I can speak for myself. It's been like some incredible ups and downs. I mean, very early in my career, I signed a giant record deal. Was on tour with Lady Gaga and really kind of got that red carpet experience way too young, and I just didn't have a mentor in that space, so I was really flying by the seat of my pants. And then that kind of all got yanked from under me, and I mean, it was like traumatic. I mean, really a traumatic experience when you're living a certain life, and all of your wildest dreams are just like in front of you. And then even since then, I mean, I had a bunch of other stints getting very close and then losing everything. And it takes a lot out of you, but it also makes you like a way better artist. So if you are able to triumph over that, it's harder to triumph. But if you are, you're just that much stronger, and like you're that much more confident, and you're that much more, but yeah, I mean, all of those things. So, but I can say with where we are sitting like today, I've never felt this on top of my game, this focused, and this confident in what the future holds. So that's a good space to be. But yeah, I mean, it can get dark for sure.
Yeah. How much of the success is finding Pozzi?
I think a ton. I so much of my career I was a solo artist, which is not what I ever wanted to be. I mean, early on in my career, I just wanted to be the lead singer of Coldplay or U2 or The Who or Led Zeppelin. But it's not easy to find other musicians on the same level, and the same level of ambition, the same level of, you just have to have your shit together, especially this day and age. I mean, to be an artist, you just have to do so many different things. And, yeah, I think with Pozzi, we've really found like a really nice balance. Even on stage, like we really have like a great yin and yang. I think in the series that kind of captures our personalities. We do have a lot in common, but we're also very different. And I think, people always just say like you guys complement each other all the time, or so well. We really hear that all the time. So, but yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. That's a huge part of the success.
It comes across really well.
Yeah,
especially in the video, you kind of get you guys are connected in some way, and that's it's exciting. You guys have the personas in the video. Do you guys have a specific persona for every video?
Well, we tried to create our characters, which are pretty much based on us. I mean, there are maybe exaggerated versions of, maybe the more introverted, nerdy side of us, which would be these Thomas and Michael characters. Yeah. So they definitely are reflective of who we are. And then, as we build us in the Mojave world, I think that'll be the other extreme of our personalities. So we're excited to kind of explore that even more as because we have this like really the best music we've ever made in our careers coming out. So we're gonna kind of package all of that with these new stories, and I think that 1-2 punch is really gonna put us over the edge.
Yeah. So for everybody listening, the music that played before this podcast was House of the Sun. So everyone listening is going to get a good peek into
which comes
that
out
music.
August 25th.
August 25th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're very very excited about that one. But that's also gonna represent this kind of almost a relaunch and kind of redefine the direction. It's a little bit more in the electronic music space, which has really been so great for us, and we love it, and it just feels like we've settled into like exactly what we're trying to do musically.
Yeah. Pozzi, do you hear music all the time?
Like in my head?
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah. We've this is a phenomenon, but I talked to John Uranday. He's a filmmaker, and he constantly is thinking stories. Constantly, when he's asleep, these stories come to him. And we've talked to other bands, and same sort of situation where they're being fed this. They don't know where it's coming from, but it's almost like it's constantly happening for you to hear music and put it to paper. And then lyrically, Zander, do you get these lyrics? Do you get the this music subconsciously all the time?
I mean, we kind of do everything together, and I mean, I actually probably think more in stories than I do in like true music. So it's actually like a really good blend because they're both equally as important. But yeah, lyrically, it has to stem usually from an idea that one of us has of like, all right, we want to try to get this across. But a lot of these new singles, especially this year, I feel like we've locked in almost in like I mean, our last few songs have like written themselves. Like we're not even behind the wheel, and they're just like happening. And honestly, it's really like spooky because it's just like, oh my god, and then all of a sudden we just like have the song. I'm like, yeah, that's great. So sometimes I've found, doing this, when you have those moments, you just kind of almost like sit back and it just really does flow. It's like so much of my career was thinking about how do I write the best song ever that no one has ever heard, and it's like everything and just thinking too hard where it sounds so cliche because everyone says this, but it's really just about, I don't know, and there is something like magical about that process.
Yeah, the other thing I was listening to your music, I'm constantly thinking of soundtracks.
Yeah.
And I listen to the music, I'm like, this should absolutely be in a movie. And I talked to John. I gave him some of your music too, so I think there might be an opportunity there. But it's really quite amazing to me. And when I keep saying that it's upsetting, it's because you listen to this music and there's something there, and you guys must feel that exponentially that there's something there. And,
well, we've also like the music. I know I can speak for myself. I mean, in those dark times, when you believe in yourself and no one else does, it's that music that helps you go. Because like, there's been a lot of times we have had nothing going on, but I'll put on one of the songs and I'll go for a run and I'll clear my mind, and then I can see where we are today on a podcast, like doing all of our wildest things, and that was like years ago. So it's like you have to find a way to maintain that faith, and like, I don't know, but the music has been integral of like helping believe, because if it didn't even inspire us, like there's just no way you keep going, because you're just like, all right. But I think that just belief is like, all right, this is going to get heard sometimes. People are going to understand this.
So Lisa, if you were at Bad Boy Entertainment, and can I call him Sean Combs? What did you call him?
I called him Puff. So he went through a lot of name changes, just to rebrand himself. So I know him as Puff and Diddy mostly. This new Love character, I don't know. But of course I know him, but I refer to him as Puff or Diddy.
So if you said, hey, Puff, I've got this band, and here's Mojave Grey, what would be his first instinct with these two guys?
His first question would be, who's your management? Who are you working with? How did you get all of this uniqueness as a band? And where do you want to go with this? Where do you want to, is this the end point? Is it just the two of you guys and it's just, sales forever? Do you see yourself going separate? But again, first of all, it's like, who's your management, honestly, so he knows how much leverage or how much control or how much he needs to help add to your project. That would be the first thing. Diddy did have a series called Making the Band. So he did really love to get involved with artists who haven't quite identified who they really are, where they're going. To me, it seems like you guys really have that in mind, but I don't see, I'm not sure, and maybe I'm wrong, but do you have a manager that's helping guide your guys' direction and finding you a major label distribution, which would enable you to have over $1 million worth of marketing dollars to promote all of this beautiful music together?
Yeah, so so for the past like 3 months, we've like really meticulously been putting together like a dream team that we've really been cultivating. So we're signing. There's this industry legend, Charlie Walk, who discovered Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, The Weeknd, Post Malone, absolute monster who happened to catch one of our shows in Aspen this winter and had actually kind of taken a break from the business for a little while and really attributes our performance as the reason he wanted to get back into the business. So now he's assembled this all-star team. So they're launching this brand new record label called Aspen Artists, which they basically brand themselves as independently major, because Charlie's this behemoth of a person, but approaching it from a little bit more of a scaled down independent approach. So we're going to be signing with them any day. We have the contract.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And as far as management, we're working with like some of the best in the world. This guy, Adam Lynn, who he owns the Breakaway Festival, which is one of the fastest growing festivals in the United States. They're doing 20, 30,000 places everywhere from San Francisco, which we're playing in October, to Boston, to Chicago. And then a former friend of mine, Nima, who's a superstar manager at, he's just been in the industry forever. So yeah, I mean, we are just assembling all of these people now, which we've never had. I mean, my whole career, I've had managers, but I've never really had a manager. So that's going to be a game changer for us. In the next, I mean, everybody's coming to this big shoot on Wednesday, and then our big release. But to be really honest, I mean, like, yeah, management can certainly help in having the team, but so much of it, so much of the weight of everything, it relies on the artist's shoulders. And like any label, any manager, they're not going to do anything on gut anymore. And that's actually, I mean, it's been so refreshing because Charlie, you can look at our data and it's like, all right, I get it, these guys are talented, but we just don't have the numbers. But Charlie really is one of those last few visionaries that's like, no, I know what these guys are and how to kind of take it to that next level. But if you talk to 95% of anybody working at a label now, it's just everything, the margins, everything is too slim, and their jobs are on the line if they pick the wrong horse and it doesn't pan out, which is why they look for artists that already have millions of fans, millions of streams, and then they pour gas on the fire. So, but that being said, we've been able to successfully put together like what I really call a dream team of, all of these incredible people, whether it's live, on the DSP side of music, on the marketing side. So our job now is kind of organizing everything and having everybody, which, we're having these Zooms with like 25 people on them. And it's been a whole different game in the last like month or so.
So you said when you were with Lady Gaga, though, during that time period, you weren't necessarily ready. This next evolution of you guys, are you guys ready for that?
Yeah, I know for sure we are. I mean, we've been ready for a while, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's intense. I mean, even we're just getting taste of it now with just the amount of travel and I mean, you really have to have your shit together because it's an extreme lifestyle, and it's not something that most people could imagine because you're going from these extreme highs where you're doing this really high energy show. Everybody's coming up to you. Oh my God, you guys are amazing. You're feeling like, oh my God. And then you have to like wake up the next morning early and you're getting on a plane and something goes wrong, but you're still coming down from the high and you do it all over again. And then it's like, so it's definitely there's the sides of that you have to get used to a little bit. But yeah, I mean we're so focused and dialed. Like I'm feeling really good about where we're at.
Yeah. Do you? So you just mentioned that though. Do you get validation from crowds? Is that what you need for validation, or you guys have already validated yourselves that you guys are fantastic?
I mean,
It's nice to have.
certainly helps. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
it's I again having done this for so long, you can tell really quick the second you step off a stage how much people might come up to you and say you guys were great, but you just know when you've really blown them away or not. And I think we've had almost 40 to 50 shows this year, and we can tell now when we really like crush it. Um, and yeah, it does help. It really does help. But I will say, yeah, I mean, we'll go out in Aspen or we'll go out in New York or in Montauk. And I mean, people are like, Mojave. Like, they really recognize us. People are remembering us. I'm always wearing a cowboy hat. Pozzi has his hair all crazy. And we're kind of these characters doing a very unique thing. I mean, musically, we're blending dance music with a more traditional sound. And just no one's doing that. And, you're getting the best of a lot of different worlds with what we are, and we haven't even scraped, the tip of the iceberg of what this is going to evolve into.
Yeah. What about merch? You guys working on that?
Yeah, we have a bunch of things happening right now.
Okay.
Because so much of this is organization. I mean, you think you write a great song, you put it out, you see what happens. But like, especially now that we're doing it the right way with the team, you're setting things up. I mean, right now we're talking about October, November, December, and like how to have all these files and things and drops already lined up so you can coordinate with press and you work backwards. So we're doing it really the right way. But yeah, I think merch, especially because we do have a pretty cool brand based in like the desert and just all that imagery that comes along with that is really important to us. So we're gonna have like a very kind of sleek aesthetic. I think we'll get you guys some swag.
Yeah, we'd love to give it away to some of the listeners here too. Pozzi, your favorite guitarist?
Probably would have to be Jimmy Page or
Okay.
well, he's like my OG, like when I was a child,
Okay.
why I picked up a guitar.
I love
But
that
I've
you
gone through
brought
so
up a
many.
child. I wanted to talk. At what point in your guys' life did you say, "I want to make music individually"?
I was 8.
8. And what
Yeah.
experience was it? You went to a concert. You saw a video.
No.
Your dad played
Well,
a record.
yeah, my dad played a record actually.
Dad
That's
played a
exactly what it was.
record.
Yeah, it was Houses of the Holy, which is a Zeppelin album. And the first 3 songs on that album, just I remember like the exact moment hearing it. It just like rewired my brain. It's like it was, and I just remember like thinking in that moment, like whatever it is that's going on there is what I need to do and figure out. So it became this obsession. Yeah, and I begged my parents for a guitar for my 8th birthday, and they gave me one, a little acoustic one. I still have it. And then that obsession just sort of grew and grew, and then I started playing in bands in 6th grade,
Wow.
and just literally never stopped playing.
So if you had not listened to those songs, would you have picked up a guitar?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, eventually I probably would have, but it was just such a defining moment. And those songs on that album, like, as you know, I'm sure, Zeppelin's a very guitar heavy band. Um, and so, you know, I, and it was like, I had the vinyl. So it was like even that experience of just seeing like, these really cool dress guys that were sort of larger than life, and then watching their videos and getting the DVDs, and uh it just became this obsession. And like, so bands like Zeppelin and The Who and Pink Floyd were my sort of gateway into being a musician. And I mean, for millions of people, I'm sure they are, but which is interesting because Xander and I actually have a very similar um musical DNA that sort
That
of
comes from way
weaves.
before, our generation. I mean, most
Yeah,
people in our
yeah.
generation aren't, but luckily, I mean, my cousins were huge, like, influences on me at a young age. I actually got a much later start with music, not until like my late teens. But my whole family was like, my dad was a musician, my cousins were all in bands, all growing up, and yeah, it wasn't until I was like 18 or 19 that I really was like, oh wow, that could be really cool. And then I was actually an athlete growing up, and I remember seeing Roger Daltrey of The Who performing at Woodstock, or seeing that film, and just the physicality of it. I was like, oh my god, that guy, like, he looked so cool, and there was this like primal aspect of it that was like really really drew me in. I mean, Robert Plant kind of had the same thing. But then, yeah, I mean, in my early 20s, I just started getting super, super serious about it, and then it was just off to the races.
So did you? I mean, lyrically though, and did you guys? I mean, did you have that? When? I mean, when's the first note that you sang that you're like, oh, I think I can actually do this?
Like, to sing or to write?
To sing. I mean, because you've got an amazing voice. It wasn't just like you got out of the shower and go, yeah, I'm pretty good. I mean,
It's like a really funny thing. As like a kid, I was like freakishly good at whistling. Like, it was almost like a party trick. My parents or whatever, like, if we were at a family function, they would have me like whistle something. I actually can't even do it as well as I used to be able to do. But what it really, like, looking back, it was actually training my ear. So even though I wasn't studying music, and I wasn't like traditionally doing like, the type of lessons, so much of singing is your ear, and playing with melodies, playing with harmonies. So when I did kind of learn to use like this instrument in your body, I had this head start because I was just so familiar with uh, that. But then I just really looked at it almost like a sport, where, I mean, I would sing for hours. I remember when I really, really was in this, I would sing for 4 hours a day and just like put in those reps. And then it was almost like an obsession, because I just wanted to get to a certain level. I wanted to be able to sing like Bono, or I wanted to be able to sing like Freddie Mercury. I was so blown away by what they could do physically with their voices. I was like, well, I have to do that. And then just a weird mix of like practice and like manifestation really got me there.
wow. So that whistling did come in handy. I mean, that was a gift that was given to you. You got to use it later on.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I want to know your first impression of Pozzi. You mentioned you guys were going to Dubai, but what was your first impression of Pozzi when you met him? Because I'm trying to tie back to this origin video again, because your first interaction with him in the video was kind of organic, and I kind of want to know if that was the same way you guys met.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, we have such a funny story about the first day we on this plane, which, I mean, I don't even know if we'll get into this episode, but I recognized, wow, all right, this guy's got an X factor. Working with so many musicians, you can work with really talented people, but the X factor is pretty rare, and he definitely had that. And just the more we got to know each other, I think it was just like, oh wow, we even have more in common than we thought, just musically, chemistry. I mean, we were laughing a lot. I mean, that's so important, to be able to just have a similar sense of humor, because you're going through such crazy circumstances, and you're together all the time, that you need to be able to laugh at a bunch of things, and we definitely had that. So that was really important.
Awesome. What about you, Pozzi? What'd you think of Zander when you first met him?
This prima donna.
Wow. Kind of, actually. No, I mean, I think it was like such an extreme situation we were kind of thrown into. And so we bonded so much, like, immediately. We kind of had to, because we were both kind of, whatever egos we may have had, or whatever reputations we may have had in LA, it didn't matter, because we were both going through this insane experience together. So all the walls kind of came down pretty quickly. So we didn't have to, like, really go through those barriers, and it was kind of the perfect way to sort of get to know someone, and see what they're capable of, and what their vulnerabilities are. And so it was pretty, like, we were pretty quickly bonded, I would say.
I know that you guys are super busy, and I can't be more thankful for you guys being on the podcast. You guys are genuinely good people, really good music.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah, thank
it's
you.
just there was something with your music that compelled me this whole time. It's my own path, and your music caused me to want to get in touch with you. And every time I listen to it, it does something to me, in my mind. So it feels like this is the right conversation to have with you guys. And I think it's fantastic. So you said August 25th, you guys have your new song coming out.
Yeah.
And where can people listen to that?
It's going to be everywhere. We have, like, a pretty large campaign planned around everything. I mean, social media, but all the DSPs, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Tidal, everything. But it's going to be like all these things. It's a campaign. I mean, I remember right in the very beginning of Lady Gaga, her song took 18 months to go #1. So I mean, I remember it came out and it totally flopped. And my roommate at the time, we were sharing a little bedroom in Manhattan. He was working as a junior agent at the time, and I remember saying, like, "Oh man, whatever happened to that Lady Gaga girl? She was so talented." And, like, nothing. And then it wasn't for her A&R that just kept working, and then finally in Australia she got a little bit of traction, and then they brought it to Canada and a little bit more, and then, like, 12 months later it went #1. So I mean, these things do take time. Now it's a little bit different with TikTok, and everything can go really fast, but we're focused on building a brand and building, like, an immersive world that when people come to a Mojave Grey show, they feel like they're a part, and they get it, and they understand that they're part of, like, this community that we're building. So it's, like, such a different approach now than it ever has been in the music industry, but I think we've got a really good handle on it.
Yeah, so I think I would love to have you guys back on after you guys have gone through your launch, and see how exciting this future looks for you guys. And again, I'm just thankful that you guys came on, tell your story. We'll amplify you wherever we're at. Make sure that on August 25th, everyone that follows us follows you. So
amazing.
congrats,
thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having you guys on.
Yeah, I'd love for you guys to follow me back, Kodo Photo. But also, just as a listener and a lover, I love what you said, Zander. When I listen to your music, I feel a sense of escapism. It feels like your music is kind of healing my soul with all of the rapid messages and different things. Your music just makes me want to be outside and just take a deep breath and just relax and enjoy life, and get involved with your lyrics and the House of Sun and all things like that. So I really hope that you guys can preserve that as a band, and not get influenced by trends or whatnot, because I think that is just what's so unique and so dope. It's like you guys are almost breaking in a new category of music, to be honest with you.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's our intention, is to do exactly what you're saying. So
We need it. We need to be
Keep it up.
healed. We need to
I
be
know.
healed.
There's a lot of healing that needs to happen, including us.
Yes, yes. And I also would love to see your guys' show when you come to San Francisco, because that's where I'm located.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we'll let you know.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Mojave Grey, Pozzi, and Zander. So exciting. All the things that are happening to Mojave Grey. We look forward to your new release on August the 25th and all these great things. We're going to have a recap, guys, on the How Strong podcast so we could talk more with this great band. But thank you guys all for listening. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the How Strong podcast with Mojave Grey. They're launching new music August 25th, and you get a sneak peek at their new song, House of the Sun.
Here I find